Welcome back. If you're feeling tired this morning, then listen up. The World Health Organization confirms that about 2/3 of us are not getting enough sleep. So how many hours in bed do we actually need? And can your diet affect your sleeping patterns?
Well, joining us this morning with advice is nutritionist Heather Leeson. Good morning to you, Heather.
Good morning.
We won't talk about the sausage roll that I was sneaking in the wings and I looked up to see Heather.
80-20, 80-20.
Did she catch you in the wings? Oh, no.
Of all people to be sitting there.
The one person you don't want you to see eating a sausage roll.
I can only say sorry. Thanks, Louise. Louise is in sound and she brought in these lovely sausage rolls.
They smell good.
Yes.
They smell good.
Anyway, will we move on to sleep and why it's so important?
It is critical. It really is needed for everything from your brain. You're going to much more likely to have a heart attack, stroke, obesity, diabetes, you name it, if you're not getting enough sleep. And when we're working with people, even say executives in terms of performance, it's always in the top 3 recommendations. An interesting study that showed if you have less than 6 hours of sleep for 10 days on the trot, your brain is impaired as if you hadn't slept for 24 hours. And sure, that would be a lot of parents, I think.
That's
for
me.
example.
That's me.
Yeah,
And you can see it within
Yeah.
a day. So your immune markers are dropping. Your white blood cells, for example, drop. So it does make a big difference. And you put on weight because it messes with your hormones. Your hunger hormone goes up and your satiety hormone goes
And you know
down.
what? I was doing hosting an event for a skincare brand during the week and they were talking about the importance of it as well. And I know we all know it, but your skin and the aging process
Hugely.
so much faster if you don't get enough sleep.
But sometimes it's unavoidable. Like if you've got a newborn in the house or, you know, whatever. But we can help ourselves through what we're putting into our bodies, correct?
We can, but first, even if you think about how much you need, because I think that's where people misunderstand. So if you think about an adult will need 8 hours sleep, not many get it.
No.
Teenagers need 9 to 9.5 hours sleep. That's a lot. And if they don't get that, that makes the moods worse and academic performance. And kids, obviously primary school kids need 9 to 11. But to get that, so if you think of a teenager, maybe up at 7 o'clock in the morning, they have to be asleep by 10 o'clock at night to get the 9 hours.
Hands up,
Going
what
to bed
house
at
in the country
9:30.
has a teenager sleep at 10 o'clock?
Yeah, none. And for us adults, getting into bed earlier is a big thing.
Yeah.
So it's about being more mindful and organising our day maybe a little bit better.
Yeah,
to accommodate it.
and looking at what is causing your sleep problems. So, for example, stress, probably the #1 issue that causes sleep disturbance. And that's very easy to say, oh, manage stress levels, but it's hard. So meditation will help. Things like Headspace and Calm, those apps are very helpful. And cognitive behavioural therapy is a form of therapy that has been shown in research to be as helpful as sleeping tablets. So that's for long-term sleep problems, the cognitive behavioural therapy. And of course, exercise as well is fabulous. Helping stress helps you get tired, especially if you exercise in the morning. So you're getting a little bit of natural daylight as well.
So start your day with the exercise.
If you can.
And it is that strange one as well, like you know, particularly when you've got a family, say a small family, you know, small kids. Like you are exhausted when you hit the bed.
You are.
But you don't. Are you getting the right type of sleep then?
Probably not.
Bed,
probably
you know?
not. You need to get to bed with the kids in some cases, probably.
Yeah.
And look at some of the easy food and drink things. For example, caffeine. Now, that's probably #1.
Yeah.
And it's hard because if you're tired, you're going to be reaching for caffeine. A lot of people say to me in clinic, oh, it doesn't affect me. It does affect you. It's a stimulant drug. It might not stop you getting to sleep, but it stops you getting into that deep REM sleep for recovery. So it is a stimulant. So it does have that effect on you. And a couple of things about caffeine, it hangs around for a while. So 6 hours after you've had a mug of coffee, half of that is still in your system. So if you've a mug of coffee at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's the same as going to bed at 10 o'clock.
It hangs around
with
for 6
half
hours.
A mug. No, half of it's still there at 6 hours. It hangs around for longer than that.
Right.
So dial it back. In terms of caffeine, have 2 cups a day. That's the maximum recommended, approximately, in terms of caffeine. And just have it earlier in the day. Have it before noon. And think about where caffeine might be sneaking into your diet. So obviously we all know coffee, 2 cups of coffee. But it's in lots of other things, in our tea. So half the amount of caffeine in tea. So 3 or 4 cups of tea a day is your max. It's also in green tea. And a lot of people we see in clinic are saying, oh no, I don't have caffeine, I have green tea. You're getting the same amount as a normal cup of tea, there or thereabouts. It's in colas, obviously things like Red Bull, which I would never recommend anyway. Dark chocolate, which does have health benefits, and I'm a big fan of dark chocolate, but if you have a lot of that at night, that has enough caffeine to disrupt your sleep. And some painkillers like Panadol Extra and some other brands have caffeine in them. So just beware, that has more than a cup of tea.
Really?
So if you have that, again in the evening, that's going to potentially disrupt your sleep.
So when should you cut off the caffeine intake, or certainly the coffees and the teas?
Noon or at 2 o'clock, by lunch.
By lunchtime?
Yeah, by lunchtime, I would say, to give yourself the best chance. Now, it's one of the things that will help, and normally it's a number of things that help. There are other things. The mineral that is the most important for sleep is magnesium. Now, a lot of people will have heard magnesium helps you to relax, and we know about 2/3 of us are not getting enough magnesium in your diet. Certainly when we're checking in clinic, it's one of the most common deficiencies. You get it from green leafy veg, from nuts, seeds, whole grains, and a lot of people just aren't eating enough.
Okay.
And it's something as well that's pretty safe to take for a couple of months at kind of a standard dose, whatever it says on the tub. Go into health food store if you're struggling to sleep.
So you would take
and try
capsules,
magnesium.
Heather?
I like powders actually, and liquids
okay.
where I can. So this is a powder, and you have, say, even a teaspoon half an hour before bed. But there's lots of different magnesium supplements, so just try it for a couple of months. Now, not long term, but for a couple of months it's very safe. And if you don't like supplements, get into the bath. Even something like Epsom salts has magnesium. These are slightly more effective magnesium chloride. So sit in the bath for 20 minutes. That's quite relaxing anyway, and you're soaking the magnesium in through your skin.
Very
If
good.
you don't have a bath, even a foot bath will be helpful.
Okay. It's a nice idea. And plus, a foot bath, if you can organise yourself to do that before bed, is very relaxing in
and
itself.
relaxing. It's part of the idea of
Yeah.
sleep hygiene, where you're dialing things down before you go to sleep. Then if you're someone who wakes up at about 2 in the morning, try having a little snack maybe an hour before bed. That could be just blood sugar dropping. So something like some nuts that have magnesium anyway, or a little bit of yogurt, something like that, to keep your blood sugar up through the night. And then think about herbal teas as well. That's kind of the entry-level herbs. Something like chamomile tea, or some of the... I've got a lovely sleep tea here that has probably valerian,
And no
lavender,
caffeine.
hops. No caffeine.
Yeah.
So they're caffeine-free,
Yeah.
and they've got lots of herbs that actually help you to relax. They're very safe to take. You can get those in supermarkets and in health food stores. If you've got a bigger issue, so a longer term issue, you can try something stronger like a herbal tincture, but that's going into your health food store, talking to the staff in there about what
What's a
medication
tincture,
you're on.
Heather?
It's a liquid form of herbs. It's a little bit stronger, for example, than a tea. So you don't want that to be a long-term issue
So it's the pure
either.
essence of the herb, is it?
Exactly, well,
Right.
sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something a little bit stronger. It's the difference between, say, over-the-counter and prescription, a little bit stronger. But to try it short-term, just to get you over the hump. So
And the last thing, what was that?
this is the herbs. That's the valerian tincture. But I would say, so in summary, I think stress, caffeine, magnesium. They're the 3 things if you're struggling to sleep. To see where you can make a difference, there's probably 2 or 3 things that you can do, little changes you can make that might help you.
Of course. Can I ask about exercise in the morning? Should you have breakfast before exercise or after exercise?
That will depend, but a lot of people benefit from having a little bit to eat beforehand. It is different. So if you're doing a very intensive exercise session, for exactly,
You need that fuel.
It can help. Just something small.
Yeah.
Yeah, just something small.
Great tips as always, Heather. Thank you very much
To
for coming.
restructure my whole week. Everything needs to change.
Children, Anna.
Go and finish that sausage roll now.
There's 3 kids going up for adoption.